On August 13, 1961, the construction of the Berlin Wall began. Communists built the Berlin Wall. The families in Berlin woke up to a world divided. It surrounded West Berlin and it included electrified fences and guard posts. This is a map of where Berlin was divided into East and West. The wall ruined the lives of many German families for nearly 30 years. The wall consisted of watchtowers, guard dogs, and tripwire machine guns. Over 100 people died trying to cross the wall. The goal of the wall was to keep Germans from escaping East Berlin, which was mainly communist-dominated, and to West Berlin, which was democratic.
Someone even attempted to fly over the wall in a hot air balloon in March 1989, but quickly crashed into power lines. Although there were many deaths, multiple people escaped, more than 5,000.
Many people throughout the time of the wall came to give speeches in Berlin about the wall. People including John F. Kennedy came. But the most memorable speech that was given at the wall was Ronald Reagan.
The process of creating Ronald Reagan's speech, which would later be given in Berlin, started long before the actual speech. Ronald Reagan is known for writing his own speeches, and because of this, he was able to create one of the most memorable speeches of the Cold War.
The speech was given on June 12, 1987. Here are some of the most memorable lines from Ronald Reagan's speech.
General Secretary Gorbachev, if you seek peace, if you seek prosperity for the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, if you seek liberalization, come here to this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
To summarize the speech, Ronald Reagan talked about how the Soviet Union leader, Mikhail Gorbachev, needed to tear down the wall to stop the division of West and East Berlin. The most memorable part of the speech that Reagan said was tear down this wall, and at first it was being debated whether or not he should even include it. There were multiple drafts made of the speech until the final one was made. Reagan wanted to include the line because he believed that he needed to include a direct and powerful message. In the end, Reagan made the right decision by including the line.
On November 9, 1989, the wall came down, about 2 years after the speech was given, and Ronald Reagan took down the first part of the wall.
Once the citizens were free to cross the country's borders, more than 2 million people from East Berlin visited West Berlin to participate in a celebration that one would call the greatest street party in the history of the world.
People used hammers and picks to knock down chunks of the wall, while cranes and bulldozers pulled down section after section. Many sections of the actual wall have been recycled and used as building materials for German reconstruction projects. There have also been multiple times where the wall has been auctioned off to people and places around the world. In July of 1992, Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev met in the U.S. and were together at the Reagan Library, where a piece of the Berlin Wall stands. The meeting up in the U.S. confirmed the peace between the two countries.
I remember watching Ronald Reagan say tear down that wall when he was on the Berlin Wall back in 1987 when I was in high school. And I remember thinking at the time, there's no way that wall is ever going to come down. Then sure enough, my senior year of high school in 1989, in that November, I remember watching on the news and seeing the wall coming down, seeing the Germans literally tearing that wall down and it being really unbelievable. And then the next year, that summer, I had the opportunity to go study for college for 4 months in Germany. And while I was studying in Germany, I had the chance to go to Berlin to see the concert that Pink Floyd put on the wall, titled The Wall. And as we traveled from Heidelberg, Germany, in West Germany, or what was Western Germany, into Eastern Germany, I remember thinking that the difference between the west side of Germany, where democracy had been going on for decades and everything was westernized, technology and commercial, everything, all the grounds and everything was cared for. And then when we rode into Eastern Germany and East Berlin, it was just stark and black and white and really old buildings, nothing up to date, and the difference between what was on the West German side or old West German side and East German side was really distinct.
Over time, the knowledge of the wall has gone down, but Germans and most Americans will remember it, even though one of the only things left in Berlin is a line of where it used to stand.